Hi Capricorn Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your November 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin and today I'm going to be covering all of the major transits for November using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. You can watch this horoscope if you are a Capricorn rising, also known as ascendant, a Capricorn Sun, or a Capricorn Moon. Generally speaking, I find that the rising sign horoscope is the most accurate overall. But having said that, I would recommend that you watch all three horoscopes because that will give you a very well-rounded idea of what you can expect for November. So let's start off by looking at Mars retrograde. So Mars will station retrograde at the end of October on the 30th or the 31st, depending where you live in the world, in the sign of Gemini. So Mars will be retrograde in Gemini in your 6th house from the end of October until the 12th of January in 2023, and it will actually be in the sign of Gemini for 7 months. So basically, whenever Mars is retrograde, this is when we're putting in more energy and more effort because it is required. So, Mars being in your 6th house indicates that the area of focus for you, or areas I should say, will be work, your daily duties and responsibilities, just like in terms of admin tasks and just the 6th house is not necessarily a fun house in astrology. It's quite the opposite. It's more like tedious, menial tasks that we need to carry out. The 6th house is also connected to loans and it is connected to any kind of conflictual situation. So, lastly, the 6th house is also connected to your health. Now, Mars being retrograde can indicate that for many of you, you will be working extremely hard on work projects, whether this is for your day job, for your own business, or any kind of project which is considered to be a work task. With Mars ruling over your 11th house, it's highly likely that this is a long-term project that you're working on, or it could be to do with groups or communities. Maybe you're trying to innovate something new or invent something new. But in terms of your everyday job, this indicates to me that there's lots of things that you're going to be reassessing, and you may be redefining your goals. You may be having to work on projects that you thought were finished. Maybe you're in the editing phase. You could be going through an audit. And for some of you, you could be working really hard on trying to find employment. And by the time you get to the end of this retrograde period, many of you will be successful in finding gainful employment. So Mars will be in Gemini from the 20th of August until the end of March. So that's that 7-month period. For some of you, you may be wanting to utilize your wider network with Mars ruling over your 11th house in order to cast the net pretty wide when it comes to work, whether this is you sourcing or outsourcing assistance, maybe you're looking for new work, a contract job, or perhaps you are wanting to employ people to help you with some kind of project. Now, Mars being retrograde in the 6th house does indicate that there can be obstacles and challenges. So if you're currently employed, I can say pretty generally speaking, despite the fact that this is a general reading, that this will be a time where you are challenged, where you're going to need to be extra resourceful in order to complete your work tasks. Maybe this is just a very busy time for your work, and the end of the year can definitely get that way for a lot of people. Now, the 6th house, like I said, is connected to your responsibilities and duties, and also your daily routines and habits. So, work aside, the 6th house rules over cleaning up your house, carrying out responsibilities that have just got to be done. And with this being representative of your daily habits and routines, some of you may be trying to break out of a rut, or you may be trying to be more productive. So this can see you trying to figure out what's a better use of your time. Where are you wasting time? Where can you be more efficient and more effective? maybe you are realizing that you're actually spending too much money on hiring people to assist you with things. So you could actually be looking at breaking some contracts and letting people go. And if you have people that you manage, this could be a time where you are actually downsizing and having to get I don't want to say get rid of people, but you may have to actually look at who you have employed and who you can afford to continue employing, and you may be tasked with the unfortunate job of having to let people go. Now, with Mars ruling over your fourth house, which would be Aries, this can indicate that there are responsibilities and duties in your home that you have to tend to. So maybe you need to clean up certain messes. Maybe there are things that need to be repaired. You could be going through the process of doing some renovations. And because the sixth house is connected to loans, this could see you actually going through the process to obtain a home loan with Mars ruling over the fourth house, or potentially a business loan with Mars ruling over the 11th house. So if that is the case, this could be a lengthy process for you. Mars retrograde means that this 10-week period of the retrograde isn't really going to be easy in relation to these tasks. And that's because when a planet is retrograde, we need to put in a lot more energy and effort. So, something that I've noticed is that when I need to put in a lot of energy and effort into something, Mercury is usually retrograde or a planet is retrograde. So, one way we can look at it is rather than retrogrades meaning that obstacles and challenges arise, they can actually mean that this is when we're carrying out important work that requires extra energy and effort. And this is why we can be led or inclined to do our best work during a retrograde because we're putting that planet to work. So I have no doubt that if you are working on important projects, whether this is, with work or personal long-term projects of yours, you can actually be successful. Okay. It just might take extra effort. It will take extra effort, but it just might take you until mid-January when Mars is direct again, or maybe even the full duration of Mars in Gemini, which will wrap up at the end of March in 2023. So the sixth house is connected to, like I said, loans. And I would imagine that this process, if you undergo it during this period of time, could be lengthy. You may need to reapply or you may need to resubmit. You may need people to vouch for you with Mars ruling over your 11th house. And just by the way, the same can be said for the interview process for a job. If you are going through an interview process during this period of time, it's likely that things won't be fully ironed out or straightened out, or you may not get the um, conclusions you were seeking until Mars is direct once again. And also, Mars ruling over your 11th house can indicate that you need to reach out to people that you've worked with before or that you've done business with before, whether this is like a co-worker, a former manager, or maybe just a former client, and you may be seeking out some kind of review from them, or maybe you're asking them to, be a reference on your resume. Lastly, with Mars retrograde in the sixth house, this can see your health being the primary focus for you during this period of time. Now, Mars being retrograde is not about causing health issues to arise. It's about understanding why you may be experiencing certain health problems or ailments and getting to the bottom of it. So, this can see you actually finding out what has been eluding you all of this time with a health matter. This could see you working hard with doctors, healers, or specialists. And, this is a general reading. I'm definitely not saying that Capricorns are going to have health issues. I'm saying that if you are a Capricorn and you do have a health issue, that you may be working hard with your doctor or with a specialist or a healer during this period of time. And, I definitely am not giving any kind of medical advice, but I do just want to say that if you receive information from a doctor or a healer or a specialist that doesn't quite sit right with you, go and get a second opinion or a third opinion, just so you can really feel comfortable with the information that you are receiving, especially if you're going to want to take action on it. Now, on the 8th of November, there will be a total lunar eclipse at 15 degrees and 59 minutes in the sign of Taurus. So this will be occurring in your fifth house. Now, we're actually in eclipse season already, and that is because we've got an eclipse in 4 days. So that eclipse will be in the sign of Scorpio at 2 degrees, exactly conjunct Venus. So eclipse energy can have us feeling like we're experiencing heightened emotions. Okay, emotions can be running all over the place, and also, we can experience disturbed sleep. So it may be harder to fall asleep or stay asleep. Sleep could be broken. Even if it's not sleep that's the issue, you could just feel like your energy levels are a little bit all over the place. Maybe you are feeling a little bit drained or energetically depleted. And this is not exclusive to Capricorns. This is for eclipse season energy, just generally speaking. Now, with this eclipse occurring on the 8th of November, eclipses can indicate that there's some kind of catalyst event that's going to be coming through, whether this is um, something that's exciting or something that's a little bit dramatic. Eclipses can have a little bit of drama with them, but I know you guys are all level-headed Capricorns. So, in terms of what this means for you, first of all, this eclipse is happening in the fifth house, and the fifth house is connected to our creative self expression, our natural talents and gifts. It is a house that is connected to romance and children and essentially our sense of confidence. So, with this eclipse in the fifth house, some of you may actually be finishing a creative project. This eclipse is actually conjunct Uranus and it is opposite Mercury and Venus, Venus being the ruler of the eclipse. So, in terms of um, the nerves that may be associated with this eclipse, it could be because you've finally finished the creative project and now you're nervous about releasing it. Because while we're still in the creation phase and no one has seen our work, it's like being in the womb. We can still protect it. We ourselves are protected from, potentially negative feedback. And it doesn't mean that you're receiving negative feedback. It's just like when you create something, you only want people to tell you that it's stunning and it's beautiful and amazing. You don't want to hear anything bad about it. You can think of this as like, the house of creation. It's the same as creating a baby. If you create if you are producing a creative project or work, you don't want anyone to say anything slanderous or hurtful about your baby. So there can be feelings of uncertainty about, is this the right time to release it? Is this the right time to put it out there into the world? Maybe there's something um, risky about this creative project. Just for example, if you are a musician and your last several songs or albums have all been of a certain genre, or they've all had the same kind of running theme. If you're putting something out there that's totally different to any kind of creative work that you've produced before, then naturally there's going to be that sense of trepidation surround trying something new. But I just want to say that, with the fifth house being connected to your talents and your natural gifts, it's highly likely that it could be successful. Okay, we often feel anxious um, about any time that we're putting ourselves out there, but taking a risk is sometimes and often what is needed for us to grow and to expand. Now, the fifth house is connected to performances of all kinds. That can be creative, something to do with acting, musicals, or being in the spotlight. Even being a politician is seen from the fifth house because you're getting up there on a stage. If you're on a stage, if you are performing, if even if it's something to do with an athletic performance, if all eyes are on you, you're in fifth house territory. So there could be lots of excitement surrounding giving this performance. Now, on a different level, this can be to do with romance. So some of you could be either ending a romantic relationship and maybe you're feeling nervous about ending this relationship. On a different note, though, you could actually be going from just casually dating to becoming exclusive. Or maybe you're looking at asking someone out on a date or asking them to be exclusive with you. So the eclipse here does not necessarily indicate one or the other. And the reason I'm saying this is because there's indicators for both sides of the coin. And also, this can see you falling pregnant for some of you. If I had to say who, it would be more likely Capricorn moons or Capricorn risings rather than Capricorn suns. And you want to look at the degree of your moon or rising. If it's around 15 or 16 degrees, give or take a few, maybe even 10 to 20 degrees, this would be a lot more likely than Capricorns who are 0 to 10 or 20 to 29. Now, on the 16th, let me just say, with eclipses, this eclipse event or this eclipse energy can be felt 3 to 4 weeks before an eclipse and 3 to 4 weeks after. So we can clearly say October and November is when we can see these pivotal shifts come through and these big changes occur in our lives. Now, on the 16th of November, Venus will enter the sign of Sagittarius, which means it will be transiting your 12th house. Wherever Venus goes, it is making the matters of that house run more smoothly. We can be enjoying the things that the house rules over. So, Venus in the 12th house can see you enjoying yoga, enjoying meditation, spending time actually resting and, rejuvenating and relaxing. This can see you enjoying spending time by yourself because the 12th house is connected to isolation and being alone. So, Venus in the 12th house can indicate that you want to have that time alone. You're not super social while Venus is in the 12th house, but that's okay for you. So you're enjoying your own company, so to speak. The 12th house is connected to inspiration. So Venus being in your 12th house can see you feeling very inspired, and it is also a house of creativity. So you can certainly be feeling very artsy and very creative. Now, this can see you potentially being engaged in a secret romance or having secret flirtations with someone. And that is because the 12th house rules over that which is hidden, and Venus rules over your 5th house, which is connected to romance. And of course, Venus itself is a planet of romance and relationships and, flirtations. So Venus will be there from the 16th of November until the 10th of December. From the 10th of December, Venus will be in your 1st house, but I'm not going to be discussing that in the November reading. Just know that Venus in your sign is a good thing. Now, on the 19th of November, Mars will square Neptune. So Mars will be retrograde in Gemini in your 6th house, and it will be squaring Neptune in Pisces at 22 degrees in your 3rd house. Mars will actually make this square a total of 3 times. The first time was actually 9 days ago on the 12th of October. The The second time is the 19th of November, and the third time is the 14th of March. So this square, if we're analyzing what these two planets rule over, Neptune can be confusion and deception and forgetfulness and idealism, and Mars is how we take action, but it can also be irritation and anger. So a Mars Neptune square is a transit which can make us feel angry and we don't know why, or maybe it's confused about what action to take. So let's just analyze the third house and the sixth house. The third house is connected to meetings, deadlines, schedules, as well as communications, whether that's texts that we're sending, emails, literally talking to other people, and it is also connected to co-workers, friends, and relatives. Now, the sixth house is connected, just to recap, to things like work, projects, health, admin tasks, as well as court cases and any kind of conflictual situation. So, translation, you could forget a meeting, you could get confused about deadlines and important dates. There could be changes to the schedule. So you are at risk of having written down the wrong day, having the wrong time, or maybe even just forgetting about a meeting or an appointment or a deadline altogether. Just to give you an example, a personal example of how this can play out. Back when I was at university, I rocked up for my exam and I sat in my chair and it was empty. I knew that this was where I needed to sit. And I was like, this is the wrong exam paper. So I put my hand up, a person came over to me and they asked me, what exam are you here for? And I told them what I was there for. And they said, well, it's tomorrow. So I was in the right place, I was at the right time, I was at the right desk, but I had the wrong day. So that was either a Mars Neptune square or some kind of Mercury retrograde bamboozling experience that I had. So just double check everything, triple check everything, and if everything lines up, you may want to reach out to the person that you're meant to be meeting and just confirm. For example, you could say, hey, just confirming this meeting that we've got for the 19th. Maybe that person thinks it's the 19th of December. Now, on a different level, this can see important documents going missing, or you can't access them. Maybe you've forgotten a password. Okay, so you just want to make sure that if you need to access important information on this day, on the 19th of November, plus or minus a few days, make duplicates, make triplicates, make sure that you have the right links, whether this is to a website, the right passwords, etc. And also, if you have to attend a medical appointment because it's the sixth house, or if you have an interview, and for some of you, if you're attending a court case or meeting with a lawyer, this is when I would really want to double and triple and quadruple check that you've got your referrals. Okay, maybe someone confirmed that they emailed the referral and you rock up being like, okay, well, it's fine. And they're like, actually, it's missing. Print it out, bring it along. Print out multiples of your resume. And, obviously I've made myself clear here, but the other thing is that water damage to documents or to technological devices is possible. And also, if you need to take public transport, go earlier. Give yourself an hour, 2 or 3. Just plan to arrive wherever you need to be earlier. And the same can be said for if you're taking taxis or Ubers, or if you've, got to drive somewhere. So, lastly, with this transit, this could just be a simple case of misunderstanding important instructions or just not really having the motivation or the energy to rock up to work, to carry out your habits to carry out your health routines and to, upkeep with your own personal habits that are important to you. And so now let's have a look at the last transit for the month. So On the 23rd or the 24th of November, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 1 degrees in your 12th house. And just a few minutes after the new moon, Jupiter will station direct in the sign of Pisces. So, with the new moon in Sagittarius, this new moon has lovely aspects. It is conjunct Venus and it is conjunct Mercury, or I should say Venus and Mercury are at 9 and 10 degrees. So they are conjunct, but they're pretty damn close to the new moon. So this new moon in general, well, new moons in general indicate the start of a new chapter, but this new moon in particular in your 12th house indicates to me that you are feeling really creatively inspired. I dare say divinely inspired. So this could be to do with creative writing, poetry, music, photography, filmography, acting, literally just anything that is connected to creativity. So, this is because not only is the 12th house one of the creative houses in astrology, Venus is one of the planets which is connected to creativity. And the 12th house is connected to poetry and creative writing, like fantasy writing. And it is connected to music and photography and acting and all those things that I've mentioned. So, on one hand, you may just want to start a new project just for yourself. On a different level, though, this could be connected to a career opportunity or a work project. And this is because the new moon is conjunct Mercury, and Mercury rules over your 6th house, which is connected to work. Also, Venus rules over your 10th house, which is connected to your professional identity and your public reputation. So, some of you could be working in private or behind the scenes on something that you are going to release at a later date. So, in terms of the timeline, it could be a month later, and that's because new moons have a 29-day cycle. So that's one lunar cycle. Or this could be a 6-month project or perhaps an 18-month project. The reason I'm saying 6 months and 18 months is because the full moon in Sagittarius will occur 6 months after this new moon, and the following full moon in Sagittarius will be 18 months later. Now, the 12th house is connected to retreats. So, some of you may get wind of a spiritual retreat or a health retreat, or you could be deciding to host one yourself. Maybe this is you hosting the spiritual retreat, a health retreat, or a yoga or meditation retreat. And that is because I'm combining the what the 12th house rules over with the fact that Mercury rules over your 6th house, which is connected to health. So it could be something to do with a detox or meditation, like I said, maybe even a silent meditation. And again, because this is a new moon, it's not necessarily that you're attending it around this time, it's that you could be planning it or signing up for it. You know, you're getting wind of this potential retreat that you may want to go on. Now, the 12th house is connected to divination and spirituality. So some of you could be finding a new way to connect to spirit or to loved ones on the other side. Maybe you're going to buy a tarot deck. Maybe you're actually going to educate yourself on how to read the tarot, or this could be to do with astrology as well. Some of you could have a reading with an astrologer, a tarot reader, or a psychic, or someone who practices divination. And for some of you, you could be looking at starting up yoga or starting up meditation. So, obviously, there's a number of different ways that this can play out. Lastly, I just want to say that you may be planning a trip to a foreign, faraway country. And with Jupiter being direct in Pisces in your 3rd house, this can see you feeling like your friends are more supportive, like your relatives are more supportive, and ideas that you have for projects can go ahead. So you could feel quite unblocked when it comes to brainstorming. And so, Capricorn, that's all I have for you for November 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, Capricorn, and I will see you guys in December.